problem with coups. It messes up the whole concert schedule.
Right. Yeah, the whole tour, all the posters.
For more on that, here's Laura Ingraham. Hey, Laura.
Well, you know something? I do have a Taylor Swift tie-in here.
Really?
Over the weekend, I was with my kids in my old haunt. Where
in Rhode Island. We're looking on Twitter.
My home state.
Yes. In Watch Hill, Rhode Island. I used to go there during the day. No, we didn't have a house there. We were too middle class for that. But this beautiful house on the Point, which is kind of the house in Watch Hill.
Yeah.
It's idyllic, right? It's an old house, been there for probably 100+ years. Well, Taylor Swift bought it for $18 million cash about 18 months ago. And now we have like, I think 12 neon jacket wearing security guards standing very ominously looking down the cliffs at the public beach and standing into the driveways to prevent all the paparazzi from somewhere, from coming in. And it was just like, this is kind of a family town. I mean, God bless her. She can buy whatever she wants, but it just kind of changed the whole feel of the town. And a lot of the town's folks I talked to sort of said, she seems like a nice person, but my goodness, we never needed all that security here. So
they're keeping out the trouble.
Yes, she even has signs. I knew you were trouble when you walked in. No trespassing so it was kind of
Taylor
odd.
Swift.
Yeah, God bless her.
All right, so you were thinking about Memorial Day yesterday, and I saw you were at a Coast Guard station as well.
Yes, we were.
Let's
Point
talk.
Judith.
It's a beautiful spot. Let's talk a little bit about the VA scandal. The President of the United States yesterday was at Arlington. He made a speech. The tone was great, but what was interesting is he never mentioned General Shinseki. He did mention him last year, and people are going, hey, wait, that's kind of like, remember when they had the big thing about Obamacare and Sebelius was in the front row and she wasn't on the stage? Looks like he's about next to take that long walk off the short plank.
Yeah, I think that, look, when you look at what's facing the country in the next few years, and just in the next few weeks, the president is going to Normandy for the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landing, and this scandal follows him wherever he goes, right? So he gives a moving address at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier yesterday, and it was very somber. It was a beautiful day in Washington. But then people are thinking, well, what about the backlog? What about the falsification of the wait list? What about the fact that this scandal seems to be expanding? And why do you still have the same person in charge? And so I don't think that's going away. And I think, and I would imagine that at some point, President Obama is going to do the pros and cons on keeping Shinseki. And all I'd say is, Shinseki goes, I hope the media doesn't go on from this scandal that it's been going on for a long time. Yeah. But when we lost Sebelius, and she went, she took the high road, she left, or the low road, and then the media kind of moves on from Obamacare a little bit, kind of changes its focus. So this is going to go beyond Shinseki's leaving, which I think he will ultimately, and I think it should be continued to be reported by the press as a real problem of big government too. Like, big government can only do so much.
It's definitely a reflection on that, as noted by many. But in terms of the Shinseki and keeping it quiet as it relates to his name and what the press will do with it, I mean, look no further than the time it took the press to kind of beef up some coverage. I mean, in 4 days, they covered Bridgegate with the same amount of minutes as it took them 4 weeks to actually cover the VA scandal. I mean, you have 110 minutes that were dedicated to the VA scandal, 112 minutes from Bridgegate. Only it took them 4 days to get those minutes for Bridgegate.
Yeah, we're talking about the major networks.
Well, also, I'd add a couple other things beyond Bridgegate. How about the cat that saved the kid, that video, right. And Kanye and Kim. So the cat, Kanye, Kim, Bridgegate. I mean, this is what the media covers these days. Like, what's trending on YouTube? I mean, this is easy stuff. This is pablum. This isn't going to really, change our lives for the better. This is not going to really put a check on Washington. And of course, they wanted to get rid of Chris Christie for all the obvious reasons. Right. It was a story, but it was overkill on that story. And this is affecting literally millions of Americans who need basic care and aren't getting it. Right. Millions upon millions of people are affected by this.
And the first time we hear the president even talk about Afghanistan over the last 2 years, he shows up in Afghanistan to talk to the troops in Afghanistan and mentions this is probably your last tour. That's an interesting way to introduce a policy. We have no idea what's happening next year. And, right. And people go, have you heard? No, I haven't heard. Hamid Karzai refused to meet with the president after 13 years. You believe that?
The best was the president actually emailed Karzai, apparently, as they were wheels up. And the White House released that, well, the president was in touch with Karzai as they were wheels up leaving Afghanistan. And so that gives you a sense of where we are with Karzai and our relationship there. After we're going to have 10,000 more troops still there, I believe, next year, right? So I think it's confusing to a lot of people. What are we getting out of our Afghanistan continued deployment?
All right. Meanwhile, final topic with Laura Ingraham today. It looks like Glenn Greenwald, who has chronicled Mr. Snowden, the NSA leaker, Edward Snowden, looks like he has been saving for his grand finale the names of Americans who have been targeted by the NSA, which is curious because we were told that the NSA was just gathering information about terrorists. So if there shows up a list, and it's probably going to come out in the next couple of days because he wants to sell a bunch of books, although he's already sold plenty of them, it'll be curious if Laura Ingraham shows up on a list, or if Mitt Romney shows up on a list, or some activists, or some dissidents, or somebody who is not a terrorist on a list.
Yeah, a bunch of Tea Party organizations. Yeah. Maybe there's an overlap. We should do a Venn diagram of the Tea Party groups targeted by the IRS and the ones monitored by the NSA. If you're in that Venn diagram, that little section, then you're really cool. Okay, that's all I have to say. So if you get targeted by both, you're golden. I mean, I want to know who's targeted, who's not, who's not a terrorist threat. You have to believe it's probably more than just people who have names that are similar to people on the terror watch list, right? I imagine it's a lot more than that, but we'll see. I mean, again, I'm kind of glad we have a lot of this information. I part ways with a lot of my conservative friends on this. I'm glad we know what government, to some extent, is doing beyond what we thought it was doing in the wake of 9/11. And I think a lot of people are just wondering, why is the government seeming to turn on innocent Americans, whether it's IRS or a botched Obamacare rollout or the VA scandal or even an NSA surveillance. So I'm glad we have this information, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's in it.
Vladimir Putin says Edward Snowden is not giving him any information. Do you believe that?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know. Snowden says he doesn't have methods, operations, strategies. General Dempsey says he absolutely does have that information. I mean, look, I don't know. I don't know, and I'm not going to speculate on that. I think we would have probably heard a little bit more about that if he indeed had given out some more information.
All right. We'll see if you're on the list in the next couple of days. We know you got to go do your radio show now. Laura, thank you very much.
Good seeing you guys. Take care.